How can we be happy all the time? Most of us have pondered over this question at some point. Is it even possible to maintain a constant state of happiness? Before we dive into exploring the answers, let's ask a simple question. Does anyone actually enjoy being sad? I doubt it. It's in our nature to seek joy, to gravitate toward pleasure and comfort. So if that's the case, the real question becomes, how do we hold on to that feeling of happiness all the time? Why doesn't anyone teach this in school? Shouldn't there be a class on the art of being happy? The truth is, happiness is a tricky emotion. It ebbs and flows, influenced by people, circumstances, and sometimes even the weather. One minute, someone's presence lifts our spirits, and the next they might say or do something that brings us down. Emotions are fickle. They change like the wind, don't they? But here's the thing, most of us never really stop to deeply reflect on this. We're quick to assume we know what happiness is or how to get it. We act as if the answers are obvious, but perhaps it's this very tendency to rush through life without pausing that's preventing us from truly understanding how to be happy. Imagine a world where you have everything you want but still feel miserable. Now picture the opposite, having nothing yet feeling deeply content. Which scenario seems more valuable? Clearly, happiness isn't about possessions or external achievements. It's an art, a skill that must be learned and nurtured. But even when we begin to grasp this concept, society has a way of pulling us back. The fear of losing happiness. As children, how often were we told not to laugh too much, or else it might lead to tears? This seemingly harmless cautionary advice plants a seed of fear, the fear that happiness is fleeting, and if we enjoy it too much, something bad will inevitably follow. Over time, we internalize this message, becoming afraid to fully experience joy. We start believing that excessive happiness will attract misfortune, and this belief holds us back from truly embracing our moments of joy. In fact, some people are so consumed by this fear that they worry about attracting the evil eye if they express their happiness too openly. The idea is that if others see your joy, they might become envious and wish ill upon you. But let's be real. If the evil eye were a real threat, we'd all be in deep trouble by now, considering how connected the world is through social media, where people openly share their lives, joys, and successes. So why the hesitation? Why are we scared to show happiness? Isn't there already enough sadness and misery in the world? Why contribute to that by hiding our own joy? It's as if we've forgotten that happiness is a gift, one that should be celebrated, not concealed. The power of happiness in society. What does the world need more of? More unhappy people spreading misery, or more joyful individuals lighting up the lives of those around them? The answer seems obvious, yet many of us get caught up in negative conversations, focusing on everything that's wrong with the world, our families, our jobs, our health. We vent, complain, and dwell on our problems. The negativity spreads like wildfire, infecting not just ourselves, but everyone we come into contact with. But why do we do this? Why is it so much easier to focus on the bad than the good? Even when it comes to our closest relationships, we often find ourselves zeroing in on the flaws rather than appreciating the positive qualities of our loved ones. This habit of seeing problems instead of possibilities is a major source of unhappiness. Our obsession with negativity is only exacerbated by the media. We're constantly bombarded with bad news, stories of crime, conflict, and disaster. The result? We start to believe that the world is a terrible place and that nothing good ever happens. This conditioning warps our perception, making it harder to see the goodness that still exists in the world. Shifting perspective, seeing the good. But what if we shifted our perspective? What if we stopped relying on the media or society to tell us how the world is and instead started looking at it with our own eyes? If we did that, we might be surprised to see that people aren't as bad as we've been led to believe. Deep down, everyone wants to be happy. Even those who've made mistakes or hurt others are often acting out of pain or misunderstanding, not malice. Take a moment to consider the people around you, your friends, family, colleagues. Are they all trying to make you unhappy? Or are they simply struggling with their own lives, trying to figure out how to be happy themselves? More often than not, it's the latter. Everyone is dealing with something, and most of us are just doing the best we can. Now, what if you took a step back from your usual judgments and instead focused on the good in people? You'd start to see that most people are kind, loving, and just trying to get by. A simple hug or kind word can change the energy in a room instantly. Think about it. When was the last time you hugged someone you care about? How did it feel? Warm, comforting, uplifting. That's the power of positive human connection. Finding stability in a chaotic world. We often think, if only the world were a better place, I'd be happier. But the world will never be perfect. It's full of complexities, contradictions, and challenges. Expecting everything to go smoothly is unrealistic and sets us up for disappointment. The real question is, how can we find stability and happiness in a world that's constantly changing? The truth is, there's far more good in the world than bad. If this weren't the case, humanity wouldn't have made it this far. The goodness in people, in society, is what keeps us going. But if we choose to focus only on the negative, we start to believe that the world is worse than it really is, and that belief fuels our unhappiness. Look around. There are good people everywhere. Acts of kindness happen every day, even if they don't make the headlines. By shifting our focus away from what's wrong and toward what's right, we can change our entire outlook on life. The mind is the root of happiness and sorrow. So where does happiness really come from? If we want to answer that question, we need to delve into the workings of the mind. Most of us let our emotions be dictated by external events. If something good happens, we're happy. If something bad happens, we're sad. But what if we could cultivate a state of mind that remains stable, no matter what's happening outside? Imagine this. You accidentally bite your tongue while chewing. Do you get angry at your teeth and punish them? Of course not. You understand that it was a mistake and move on. The same principle applies to our interactions with others. People might hurt us, but often they don't do it intentionally. If we can understand that, we'll be able to maintain a sense of inner peace, even in difficult situations. Happiness is, at its core, a state of mind. It's not about getting everything we want or avoiding pain. It's about learning to navigate life's ups and downs with grace, understanding, and compassion. Happiness comes from within. One of the biggest misconceptions we have about happiness is that it's something we can achieve through external means, whether that's money, success, or relationships. But the truth is, lasting happiness can't be found in material things or status. If it could, wouldn't everyone who has these things be happy? Think about it. There are wealthy, successful people who are deeply unhappy, while others with very little are content. Why is that? It's because happiness comes from within, not from our circumstances. If we want to experience true, lasting happiness, we need to stop looking for it outside of ourselves. Instead, we need to turn inward and cultivate a sense of peace and contentment that isn't dependent on what's happening around us. The importance of connecting with nature. One of the simplest and most powerful ways to reconnect with our inner happiness is by spending time in nature. Nature has a way of grounding us, reminding us of the beauty and simplicity of life. Whether it's a walk in the park, sitting by a river, or simply feeling the wind on your face, nature has a calming effect that can help us reset and find peace. Next time you're feeling overwhelmed or disconnected, try stepping outside. Take a few deep breaths, feel the earth beneath your feet, and let yourself be present in the moment. You'll likely find that your worries start to fade, replaced by a sense of calm and clarity. The concept of oneness. At the heart of true happiness is the realization that we are all connected. Just as the different parts of our body work together, so too are all living beings interconnected. When we harm others, we harm ourselves. When we spread love and kindness, we also receive it in return. This sense of oneness is not just a philosophical concept, it's a reality. We are all part of the same universe, made from the same elements, sharing the same air and resources. When we recognize this, we start to feel a deeper sense of belonging and love for all life. Living in a state of joy. Happiness isn't something we achieve once, and then hold on to forever. It's a practice, something we cultivate every day through our thoughts, actions, and attitudes. By shifting our focus from the negative to the positive, reconnecting with nature, and recognizing our shared humanity, we can begin to experience a deeper, more lasting sense of joy. Ultimately, happiness is within our reach, if we're willing to look for it in the right places. By understanding that happiness is a state of mind, independent of external circumstances, we can learn to be truly happy, not just occasionally, but all the time. If you like the content here at Telos, please consider to subscribe and hit the notifications bell. To support the channel, buy me a coffee, link in the description, or send super thanks from the menu below the video. From the bottom of my heart to all of your hearts, I thank you for your support.